What is up, everybody, and welcome to FLW Videos. I'm very excited to get into today's episode because it is the announcement of a new series on the channel known as the Potential Use series. It is going to be very similar to the deep dive, but there's going to be one fundamental difference. And I do want to go ahead and use Regigigas as an example. So I went ahead and made a deep dive video on Regigigas before it even came out. We of course used all the information that we possibly could, but what ended up happening was the day before it ended up getting released, they changed the moveset, so all of a sudden you've got Regigigas with a moveset like Giga Impact, and a lot of people looking for some information related to that, yet my deep dive didn't cover that because I made it in advance, so it ended up changing. So what we're gonna do is from now on moving forward, I'm gonna make a potential use video on a Pokemon using all the information beforehand, and then once it actually gets released into the game, that's where the deep dive series is going to come into play. And the first Pokemon that gets the honor of this potential use series is Terrakion. So Terrakion is going to be released towards the end of November, and a lot of people are asking me about this Pokemon. What is its potential? Is it going to be meta relevant? And we're going to go ahead and cover it today. If you do enjoy this type of content, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. Let's go ahead and jump into this. So we have Terrakion with a max AP of 3,698. This Pokemon is a dual type Pokemon of rock as well as fighting. So today we're going to be talking about the potential for both of these types and then go up against the best of those types as far as like the stat comparisons are concerned. So hopefully you are excited about that. So let's go ahead and jump into the actual stats of this Pokemon. Now go ahead and check this out. Now I think that this is probably going to be the biggest highlighter is the fact that its overall ranking is 24th in Pokemon Go with all of the Generation 5 Pokemon being included. That is intense. And the reason why it is so good, number one is going to be that attack stat at 260 ranked at 40th. But then when you take a look at its worst stats, I mean, those aren't bad at all. It is a very well-rounded Pokemon, and I do think that it ends up showing as far as its overall ranking is concerned. So now, let's go ahead and talk about the part that could potentially change. It really just depends on what Niantic wants to end up doing with this, but we can go ahead and talk about the movesets that are currently loaded in for Terrakion as of right now before the release. We have the move Smackdown. That is amazing. We also have the move Rock Slide. So as far as the rock typing is concerned, it is looking good for Terrakion, at least currently in Pokemon Go. But then when we take a look at the flip side, and we're talking about that fighting side where we have close combat, that is not necessarily the best move that you want to have from the fighting type. You would want something like a Dynamic Punch, or at least something closer to it. But then the problems really kind of stem from those fast moves, because even if we do have close combat, we could deal with it if we had some type of fast type quick move that was of the fighting type. But as you can see, that's currently not loaded in, but we will be talking about that, and of course everything that Terrakion is going to need for it to reach its maximum potential versus some of the best of the fighting type as well as the rock typing. So let's go ahead and talk about fighting type first, because I do think it is interesting. So as far as the comparison is concerned, we are going to be going up against Machamp, and then the first thing that I noticed that I thought was kind of interesting was that attack stat. You may be wondering if Terrakion could end up overtaking something like a Machamp due to its moveset, and to be honest, I think with just a close combat, I don't think that's going to be enough. It's going to have itself a quick type move that is fighting type, maybe something like a counter. If it had counter in close combat, I do think it would be able to overcome something like a Machamp, even though Machamp has a better moveset of something like a Dynamic Punch. So as far as the potential in this case, Terrakion could end up being number one, could end up being number two, or it could end up being like number 5 or something. It really just depends on that moveset. But Terrakion is going to need a fighting type quick move to even stand a chance, at least taking on something like the number one position. Now when we head over to the rock typing, I do think that there is going to be more of a chance of Terrakion kind of having an impact. So the number one spot, as far as Rampardos is concerned, I don't think Terrakion has a shot at number one, but because it currently has the moveset of Smackdown and Rock Slide, I think it has the potential to take over something like the number two spot. When we compare it versus Tyranitar, initially taking a look at the stats, yes, Tyranitar does have a better overall ranking, but something that kind of holds back Tyranitar is its actual moveset. Yes, it does have Smackdown, but you are going to have that C-Day to be able to have Smackdown. And then when you get into the actual charge move, you've got Stone Edge for Tyranitar, and then currently you have Rock Slide for Terrakion. If Terrakion can hold on to Rock Slide and Smackdown, I do think that Terrakion is going to end up taking over that number 2 spot, and that is going to push Tyranitar down to number 3. It is definitely going to depend on the moveset, but I think that there is some major potential for Terrakion, especially in that attack stat. And then when you take a look at some of the other stats, it's not going to be like that far off of something like a Tyranitar, but at the end of the day, this is just going to be the potential use that it has in Pokemon Go. So what are my final thoughts on Terrakion? Well, to be honest, I think it has a lot of potential in Pokemon Go. It is going to come down to the moveset. I'm personally going to cross my fingers to get itself a fighting type quick move and then kind of keep the rocks the same, because then all of a sudden you would have a Pokemon that would be valuable from both sides. Hopefully Niantic does decide to update that moveset and add in that fighting type, but that's of course my thoughts. I would love to know what you think about Terrakion and Pokemon Go. Are you excited about it coming out in raids? Let me know what you think about it in the comments section below, and I will see you next time. If you want to develop a deeper connection, I would highly recommend you to check out Patreon. We've got a lot of really cool things going on over there. Check out all of these supporters that we have. We are almost up to 100. We are also posting some special content, some behind the scenes work. And if that is the type of thing that interests you, I would highly recommend you to check it out.